2 weeks before the 2020 Lagos City Marathon, I was involved in a tricycle accident. What happened was this tricycle ran into me from behind, and my left foot ended up getting stuck in one of its wheels for about a minute or two before I could eventually pull it loose. My leg was in such excruciating pain that I was so scared that it was broken. How am I going to run the marathon now if my foot is broken? This marathon that I had dedicated the past 4 months to preparing for. It was such a huge relief when I discovered that my foot wasn't broken. But still, I couldn't run with that much pain and swelling. What am I going to do now? The clock is ticking. The marathon day is getting closer. What am I going to do? Eventually, 2 weeks after the accident, what happened was that I decided to resume training. But I couldn't run fast, and every step I took was shooting pain to my brain. But I just kept pushing on. It was one of the days during that week that I resumed training that I saw someone running ahead way in the distance. Immediately I saw the person, I made up my mind to catch up with the person. And the interesting thing was, despite the pain I was feeling, not only did I catch up with the person, I ended up overtaking this guy, and trust me, he was running as well. That experience taught me about the power of a community, how just seeing somebody doing the same thing that I was doing could infuse strength and courage that I didn't know I had. And that's what a community does. A community stirs up, ignites that strength and courage in us that we didn't imagine, that we didn't know that we had in ourselves. It was such a powerful lesson for me that I learned while preparing for running and even actually finishing the 2020 Lagos City Marathon. While preparing for the marathon, I can't tell you how many times that a fresh spark came to my eyes and renewed strength came to my strides just from seeing someone, from meeting someone else who was running on the road as well. How, you are just encouraged and strengthened when you hear that clap that says you are doing a great job. That clap that says that others may despise you, others may ignore you, but I see you. That clap that says, I see you, I see what you are doing. I know how difficult this is. I know how difficult this is because I'm doing it as well, or I do it too. And it was also, that power of a community was also a lesson I learned while actually running the 2020 Lagos City Marathon. What happened was, initially, there was this cluster of us who was running. But as the race wore on, this cluster began to break up. Those who had the energy, the gas and the strength pulled way ahead of the rest of us, and those who didn't have any gas or any energy or strength to go on just dropped out of the race. And then there were the rest of us who were right there in the middle. But now we're not together. Everybody is running at his own individual pace and strength. And I tell you that there is nothing as discouraging as that when you are running and you are running all alone, running alone with your thoughts. It's at this time that those feelings of giving up can weigh really heavy on you. What I had imagined before the marathon D-Day was this long stretch of people, of onlookers along the running path, cheering us on, the runners, until we got to the finish line. I never imagined that there would be long stretches of road where there wouldn't be one single onlooker in sight to cheer anybody on. And it was at this point in the race that it was really a struggle to be running all alone and running totally exhausted, I might add. And this just goes to show you how indeed the power of a community, having the power of a support system, having that friendly face around, just to give you a pleasant smile, to encourage you, to support you on our journey towards living a life of no excuses and our journey towards becoming the very best version of ourselves. And for me, that's just what it is, that a community is so powerful. It was Ellen Keller that said that alone we can do so little, but together we can accomplish so much. There's that African proverb that says that if you want to go very fast, go alone. But if you want to go very far, go together. And that's what it is. It's great if we can go fast. It's great to go fast, but we want to go far. We want to sustain our achievements. We want to sustain our tempo on high performance. And that's why having a community, having a support system, it's so important. 3 big ideas to harness the power of a community. Number 1, we need to change our paradigm. We need to change our understanding of differences. For many of us, or what happens in our world and around us, is that we tend to attack what we don't understand. We tend to attack something that looks different from us. But if we are really going to harness the power of a community, we need to realize that our strength doesn't lie in our similarities. Our strength lies in our differences. It's like how my mentor and my pastor will put it, that a team of 12 people in which everyone thinks exactly alike, then 11 of them are unnecessary. This is why we need to realize to celebrate our differences rather than fight our differences. Number 2 big idea to harness the power of a community is to change our paradigm, change our understanding of that word competition. Now, even I have struggled with that word competition. Is competition a good thing? Is competition a bad thing? Some people will say create, don't compete. But if you take competition entirely out of the equation, doesn't that take away the zest to want to push forward, to want to stretch and to grow? Until I read Kevin Hart's book, and I believe that he put it well. He said that we should realize that we are not competing against each other, or we are not competing against one another. We are competing with one another. Now, the idea is to realize that there is abundance in the world. There is so much, there is enough in the world to go around, that we can be the best version of ourselves without diminishing one another. That one person doesn't have to fail for another person to succeed. Number 3 big idea with regards to harnessing the power of a community is to change our paradigm, to change our understanding of that word loneliness. To realize that loneliness is not about a loss of affection, it's about a loss of direction. That it's about purpose and not people. Because here's one thing that we tend to do sometimes. We seek out a community just for the sole purpose of not being alone. We are so scared, we are so terrified of being alone that any and every community we want to be a part of. At the end of the day, what this ends up being counterproductive, because we tend to realize that to be able to love ourselves properly and to be able to even love and support others, sometimes we have to learn to be alone. And if we don't take out time to learn this thing, what happens is that we get into relationships, we get into a community, and what we do is that we tend to use people. We use people for our goals, for our desires, for our dreams. We use people for our amusement. We use people for our pleasure and our entertainment. But at the end of the day, it's not about that. We realize that it's not about using people, but about working with and walking with people. And this can only happen when we change our paradigm, we change our understanding about loneliness, and to focus on our life's work, focus on doing our purpose. To live a life of no excuses, a life where we go on to crush our goals, exceed limits, break barriers, and go on to be a pleasant surprise to not just people around us, but to ourselves. It's helpful to remember that there is nothing as powerful as a group of people with similar interests coming together to work on a similar goal. And that a man, a person, an individual who has harnessed the power of a group of people working together on a particular goal, has harnessed the greatest power known to man. And to realize that we don't heal in isolation, we heal in a community.